Now, I'm gonna just give a disclaimer up front here. You might hear some bangs and clangs and buzzes and other stuff outside my apartment window here. So if the microphone picks up some of the construction that's going on outside, I apologize. I can't really do much about that. The pros and cons of having a condenser microphone, everything gets picked up, but then again, everything that you hear with your ears gets picked up. Today we're talking about the Vancouver Canucks, because one of the guys that has been noted as a primary candidate for this team's general manager position was Pierre Dorion. Dorion is the former Ottawa Senators general manager and a guy who has a very distinct reputation. A lot of Sens fans could agree, maybe Pierre Dorion's drafting was actually pretty alright, but the trades that this guy made, and the decisions that this guy made, the team that this guy put together, there's a lot to dislike out of Pierre Dorion and his resume. The fact that he traded away a super young Mika Zibanejad for Derek Brassard, who was not as good. Mika Zibanejad, of course, one of the better centers in the National Hockey League to be. He didn't get his chance to show that off in Ottawa. Pierre Dorion lost the Matt Duchene trade twice. He ended up building a team that just all wanted out after a bit. And there were so many other elements to Dorion's tenure in Ottawa that Sens fans just want to forget. So with that said, when Pierre Dorion's name hit the Vancouver market as a top-tier option that reportedly the Canucks had a lot of interest in, fans started going nuts. We made our YouTube video here talking about how, hey, apparently Dorion's in a top-tier spot in this GM search. And the comments were all negative, it seemed. We made the short, we made the long form. A lot of folks in the comments on both of these videos contributing to our discussion about the Canucks and Dorion, which inevitably found itself in a pretty interesting spot on May 5th. On May 5th, during Donnie and Dolly's broadcast, Rick Dhaliwal left the show in the middle of the program to take a call that had to do with the Canucks GM search. Dhaliwal said that market feedback about Dorion has hit Rogers Arena, and there are concerns. He mentioned the Canucks are getting calls and emails at Rogers Arena about Pierre Dorion. There also were some other reports from May 5th. This is from Nuck Zero. Not sure if this is 1,000,000% confirmed, but it is a conversation that was brought up. The streets are saying that Jim Rutherford leaked Pierre Dorion's name to his buddy Darren Dreger to show Aquilini the uproar that hiring him would cause. It's believed that Dorion was Francesco's number one choice. After the fan outrage, his candidacy ended. Meanwhile, Jim Rutherford is still going to bat for Ryan Johnson. Now, you may be wondering, in what world would Pierre Dorion be the top choice for Francesco Aquilini, the owner? What did this guy say to make himself seem like the best candidate possible? Well, yesterday, Jason Bruff said on Halford and Bruff, he's heard Dorion went into the Canucks GM interviews and said, I can turn it around quickly. And ownership said, we like this guy. Now, Buck Foston here is paraphrasing, but that's essentially the update that Bruff gave. That Pierre Dorion's pitch to Aquilini and the Canucks was, I can turn this around really quickly. Y'all can become competitive again if I come in charge. And Francesco Aquilini, knowing what we know about this guy, shortcuts? Yeah, go ahead, take him. You know how normally it's like, shortcuts? He doesn't take him. He's a good, honorable guy. He wants to build things through the right way. Francesco's the opposite. Shortcuts? Absolutely. Take as many shortcuts as you need as long as we get back to a competitive spot. This was also talked about by Don Taylor on Donnie and Dolly. His fear was that Pierre Dorion said to the Canucks that he can turn it around in 2 years or so, and the Canucks really liked that, which is why he shot up the ranks to become their top candidate. This is what Elliot Friedman said on 32 Thoughts, the podcast yesterday. In regards to the Canucks and the Dorion rumors, you're not bringing somebody to Vancouver if he isn't a legitimate candidate. I don't think it was as close as it had been portrayed. They weren't at a point where they were about to hire anybody. So Frege kind of spilling some water there in the Dorion department. And then you have Ian McIntyre, who said this: given the volcanic reaction in the fan base Tuesday to the news of Dorion's candidacy, apart from the meltdown on social media, the Canucks were flooded with complaints. It's impossible to see Aquilini hiring him. Hashtag we did it. This is the one time where Canucks Twitter and Canucks Reddit actually combine forces to express one common cause, and it forces the Vancouver Canucks to listen, eh? The Canucks got calls from people threatening to cancel their season tickets and threatening to protest if they named Dorion the GM. And with that said, it seems like Vancouver Canucks fans might have had a significant part in the way the Canucks organization views Pierre Dorion as a candidate. And I wonder if that's a good thing. One, it's a good thing that the Canucks are not going for a GM that supposedly, based off of the reports, would have wanted to speed things up. Oh, get this rebuild done quickly. It's only going to be 2 years and then we're going to be competitive again. I think most Canucks fans, media, analysts, and everybody else can agree that the Canucks are going to be rebuilding for a long time. It's not going to be 2 years, 3 years. It could be 4 years even. It could be a while before the Vancouver Canucks even become close to being a wild card team. First, it's a good thing that Dorion is not coming over. But secondly, a part of me does feel icky about the fact that Canucks fans are the main reason that this search is going the way it's going. I don't know how I feel about the fact that multiple emails and phone calls from season ticket holders and fans actually can influence the team to make certain choices and to go different directions with their managerial searching process. It's almost like the inmates run the asylum. If the Vancouver Canucks, in some way, actually thought, oh yeah, well, Dorion is not that great, we don't like him, let's not take him. If it was their own decision-making, it was their own thought process that said, yeah, this is not the right guy, then okay, that's great. For the team to come to similar conclusions as the fans, it would seem like either parties are aligned in what they want. But as Rick Dhaliwal spoke about earlier on today's Donnie and Dolly, he thinks the fans chased Pierre Dorion out of town. The Canucks panicked, and then, in typical fashion, got the word out through their shills that they were no longer interested in Dorion. What does that say about the state of the Vancouver Canucks, where the fan response is the primary driver for them to make a big pivot in their decision-making? Like, I don't think, ideally, NHL front offices should be making their decisions based off of what the fans think. We understand that that's not really how pro sports goes usually. So when it does happen, obviously it's happening for a great reason this time around, but the fact that it's even happening at all gives me a weird feeling inside. Like, is this team going to all of a sudden start having elements where fan sentiment will dictate what they do and do not do? Is that proper? I'm not sure, really. It shouldn't be, but if fans are going to continue getting their voices heard when the team is making bad decisions like hiring Pierre Dorion, is it necessary for fans to speak up in the ways that they have? If anything, I think there hasn't been any individual moment in Canucks history over the past few years with the Bennings and the Rutherfords and what have yous. There hasn't been any moment throughout these past few years that has warranted a significant fan upheaval response. Like, okay, JT Miller was mean to Pettersson. You weren't going to get Canucks fans all on board with that idea. That, oh, that's a bad thing and Miller should go. Because there were a lot of Canucks fans on the opposite side. Oh no, Petey's the guy that needs to get better. It's his fault. Canucks Twitter, Canucks Reddit, Canucks fans, they haven't been 100% united in a singular idea for years, it feels. And this Pierre Dorion thing gave all fans the opportunity to express their directed frustration towards one thing. And in a way, it's beautiful that they actually got their voices listened to. So with that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Canucks Pierre Dorion situation and the fact that fans chased him out of town? the Canucks panicked. The Canucks took their finger off the trigger, and they said, yeah, no, actually, we're not interested. Don't worry, guys. We're good. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How does this make you feel? I hope you enjoyed this British Roll 9, and bye.